Hi everyone, I'm Trey. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about RC drift etiquette. If your local track does not have rules or if there's no how-tos, hopefully this video here will help you out with that. So let's head inside. Cool. Got my pit area somewhat situated. I just put my stuff down. I have the notes or the listed information that I'm going to be going over on my phone. So if you see me looking on my phone, reference that, that's what that is. I'm going to go step by step and highlight the things I think are very important. Along with that, I'm going to put that description or that information in this video so you can follow along as we go, okay? So we're talking about RC drift etiquette, all right? What does that entail? What does that mean? It really boils down to how you treat the environment, how the environment treats you. With etiquette in per se to RC drifting, the goal is everyone to have a safe space and have fun, right? We respect each other's space, we respect each other's time, money, etc., etc. With that going along here, I feel like these guidelines will help anybody that doesn't know how to achieve that. So, oh, I just noticed I forgot my pit mat, which is not a big deal. So let's go over the first one. The first one is pay as soon as possible. So when you come into the track, you can scope it out. I wouldn't say you couldn't browse or look around. I don't think any business owner wouldn't want you to, but if you have intentions on driving at the track or using the track or the shop itself, whatever track it may be, I honestly think you should pay before you even set your stuff down. That clears up any confusion or any issues that may arise with the question of you paying for the space, right? Number two is find you an area. I found me an area. I'm comfortable here. The track is right behind me. I have enough space at this table. It's pretty skinny, but this whole table will be mine, and that kind of rolls into the next one. Make sure you're using the appropriate space. So I have this table. There's two other tables over here next to me. There is some pit area over here in the back side or the side of tandem, but you don't want to go over your allotted space, right? So if it's a set out cube area and it has tape highlighting like this is one person's spot, this is another person's spot, don't bleed over into that next person's spot and make that unfair for them. If the space allows it and there's no one there, then that's kind of, we're not talking about that, Use the space accordingly. Right now I have this entire table. If it was packed in here, then I will have to consolidate and be considerate of other people, right? I kind of see that here and there. It's not really a big issue, so I won't harp on that one too much. The next one is, make sure you have the appropriate drivetrain, right? We are in 2026. The times have changed, and the idea of using CS or counter steer systems which utilize four-wheel drive is just not a thing anymore. We're doing two-wheel, you're utilizing gyros and things like that. So four-wheel drives are a thing of the past. Not saying that your local track doesn't offer that. It's just that the hobby itself and the vehicles or chassis that are coming out are primarily two-wheel drive. And that's to keep everyone's vehicles safe and to avoid any damages, right? So you can only imagine a four-wheel drive vehicle is gonna have a little bit more speed than a two-wheel drive, given the setup of, plastic tires, right? So that's pretty much it for that. Number five, this is a big one for me. Locate the loading and unloading area. Do not load and unload in a hot area of the track. When I mean a hot area of the track is a highly or a high traffic area, or just on the track in general when there's cars zipping by. If the track layout has a loading and unloading zone, please, please, please utilize that area. I've seen so many guys wreck other people's cars because that person's coming down the straight or going into a turn and he's focusing on his car. He's not worried about you placing your car down, staging on the track. That's a big no-no. So, I mean, if that's not highlighted at your track, I really suggest not doing that. Make sure you have located all the appropriate charging areas. Ensure that all batteries are placed into a LiPo case. That is a big one. If you haven't been around a LiPo fire, it's serious business. LiPos can be volatile if they're not taken care of properly. I've seen LiPos go up in cars. I've seen LiPos go up in bags. I've seen LiPos go up on the desk, unprotected. That's literally the worst case scenario because it's not something you can grab. I've seen people's cars go up with LiPos inside. They can at least grab the car and kind of throw it outside. That happens sometimes. But having a LiPo charging on a table, not in a LiPo safe bag or container, you're just asking for a problem for the shop owner and other people, right? We don't want people to get hurt. LiPo fire is pretty dangerous if it's not taken care of quickly, right? Now we're gonna start getting into the beginners. You know, beginners learning how to drive should start in the designated beginning area. So if your track has like a cone area or like an open area where they could learn how to do donuts, figure eights, you know, pick up speed and attack hairpins and things like that. If your track has a designated area like that and you're a beginner, I strongly suggest that you utilize that area before you hit the track. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that driving on the track isn't fun and it isn't cool. It is. Again, when you have the time and the space and you're new, probably like week 1, week 2, there's certain principles you need to try to grasp before you attack a track. I think that's gonna help your progression as a new driver in the long run. Trying to connect everything on the track when you're first starting out is so difficult, and it can be very discouraging because you see the other guys and they're linking stuff together and they're driving with each other. They're doing cool stuff that you want to do, but it's all in time. So if you have a beginner area, I suggest hitting that beginner area. Beginners, if there's an experienced driver that is closing distance on you, say you're already on the track and you're driving, you're doing your thing, say you're like 6 months in, you're starting to kind of connect some stuff and you have an experienced driver come up behind you. Now, I can speak for myself and most of the drivers I drive with, we tend to want that less experienced or that novice driver to stay on their line. It's easier to predict where they're going or where they're trying to go versus they veer off and do something erratic and end up causing a crash. So if you're a new guy and you're just trying to figure it out and link it all together, you're better off just trying to attack that line. As a seasoned driver, I can predict where you're trying to go and just pass you. If I don't want to stay behind you, it's no harm, no foul. I could just pass you, right? But if you make an erratic move, I can't predict that, and that ends up causing a crash. Another beginner one, if you would like to avoid an experienced driver or get out of the way of an experienced driver, I think the best way to do that is find that time. Find that time when there's a lull in the action and try to do that then. If there isn't, you know, I don't think most of the experienced drivers care that they are coming up on you. Like I said, they'll figure out a way to pass you. You know, if you're on the track and you see 4 or 5 cars, they're probably like 2 or 3 turns behind you and you're like, I just want to avoid it, then that's probably the time to find an open space and veer off and, you know, let them pass and then hop right back on. You know, go at it at your own pace. That's what I'm getting at. Do things at your own pace, right? Beginners, if your car stops, this is another big one. If your car stops on the track or something mechanical happens to your car where your car is down, make that call specifically where that car stopped operating at. Make that call for a man on track, wait for everyone to kind of slow down, and be boisterous. We're not gonna be upset if you yell that out. I'm actually happy that you do because it's gonna get my attention and that's not gonna cause anybody else or myself to crash into your vehicle. Because again, we're focusing on our cars. So make that man on track call and do not run on the track. Don't run on the track. The car isn't going anywhere. You run on the track, you're going to end up risking stepping on things on the track. You know, a lot of tracks have scale fixtures and things like that. You can end up damaging the track that way. You can end up stepping on somebody else's car, damaging that way, or you could just cause a slip and fall and hurt yourself. At the end of the day, again, we're trying to have fun. We want everyone to be safe. Running on the track to retrieve a car is probably not the best thing to do. Just take your time, walk out there and grab your vehicle and come back on the side. And then once it's clear, everything will resume. You know, it's not worth it, the risk hurting yourself or damaging anything. Let's see what else we have. Oh, if you experience a malfunction or just in general, or let's just say your car is stuck and you know you have maybe 3 or 4 cars behind you, or maybe if you don't at all, right? Pay attention to your surroundings and make that call. If your car stops on the sweeper, yell out sweeper. If it gets stuck on the hairpin, say enter a hairpin. If it's stuck on the straight, yell out straight. It is okay to be boisterous and let other drivers know if something is going on the track, right? Most people will probably commend you because it saves them from having to avoid a crash or being in a crash on the track. Again, we don't want to damage any of these vehicles, whether if it costs $300 or $3,000. We don't want anything to break. We don't spend our money to demolish our stuff. So that's one way. If you're a new driver, to kind of get some kudo points within your community and with some of the experienced guys, right? And this goes for experienced guys too. We need to call it out. And I've been one of those guys that haven't either, and I end up doing it out of panicking, thinking like no one's behind me. So I do myself need to get better with that, right? So right now, I'm setting up my cars. I'm gonna bring out my GRK5R. There's some stuff I wanna work on to get it back to a good spot. I changed some stuff, and then I kind of lost my baseline. I don't like it. So if you're asking me what I'm working on today, that's what I'm working on. But other than that, we're gonna enjoy the vibes. We got some really good drivers here today. We all like to test ourselves against each other, and that's the goal. Like, have fun, push the envelope, and just chill. Looks like we got everything. Correction, everyone. This is footage of my GRK knob. Enjoy. Alrighty, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. It's getting kind of loud in here because guys are excited, but I have some honorable mentions. Again, I have my phone with the list. This one cover a couple things. So this one is kind of touchy, and again, like, we don't need to be mean or callous or just plain up rude. There's a way about going about things, but I'm gonna touch on something that we all experience, and that's hygiene. If you come to a track or you come to a public event, like, we stand very, very close to each other. I think the best way to attack this is just take care of that type of stuff at home. Make sure that you're not offending other people, whether it's even perfumes. But someone's body odor and you're kind of forced to stand next to them can be a little bit of an issue. I've experienced it. I know other people in this hobby have experienced it. And sometimes it even comes down to if you've never experienced it, maybe it's just you. Moving on, train hopping. Now this is something kind of new, or something kind of for the new guys, I should say. Train hopping is like if two or three of my buddies are driving together and then you decide to jump in front of their train. That's fine, but if you don't have a rapport, if you don't know those individuals, it can kind of be viewed as rude. It's no different than, you have a party of people in line and, someone else comes and then they join that line in front of you. We might not know if that person has a friend up there or anything, but it looks kind of weird unless they know you. So it's like train hopping. Again, it's something that could be avoided. It's more of a thing that you acknowledge you're doing it versus it's an accident here or there. It does happen, but no big deal. But consistently doing it's kind of rude. Be mindful of your language. Now, I myself am guilty of this. You come to mom and pop shops, there are children, there are women there, you got family events. Please be mindful of your language. You don't want to offend someone or expose someone's child to a certain type of language that, it's just not really suitable for this type of environment. Respect the shop space. That kind of goes along with the first couple of things I touched on. And it doesn't really need to be touched too much, but your shop owners, I think they do a pretty good job of letting people know what's acceptable and what's not. Another thing, this is big for me, and I've been seeing it and hearing it a lot, and it really is, it's a people complaining, and people complaining about one thing, and that's the progression of the hobby. If you feel like guys are too fast or you can't keep up with them, maybe like it is something that, and this is my opinion, this is something that maybe you need to work on. If you don't feel like working on it, then find the people that drive at your pace. Work with those individuals or work with the individuals that are faster than you. But because you can't keep up or someone might be has a higher skill set than you, doesn't mean that the hobby is going to trash. It just means that it's progressing. We wouldn't compare NBA basketball players today to NBA basketball players to the 1960s and 70s. The game has evolved, right? And with that being said, our involvement in the skill set, elevates. And that's what I've been seeing. I've been enjoying it. I just don't like the idea that because someone isn't driving at a specific speed for you, it's not a part of the hobby. And that's just false. Everything has a progression, and you just gotta find the people that are at your pace or at your level. And that's I just want to leave it there. It's not a big deal, but I want to say probably 30-40% of people complaining about the hobby now is, oh, it's too fast. A lot of guys that are fast, they put a lot of time and effort and energy in figuring it out, and they wanted to elevate and evolve and up their skill set, and that's what's happening across the board. Competitors today in 2026 will mop the floor with competitors in 2020, and that's just how it is. The game has evolved, so accept it. You can either get with it or not. And that's just my 2 cents on that. If you're new, don't worry about the pace. Just got done talking about the pace. Seat time. Working this muscle and this muscle is the biggest thing for beginners and novice drivers. You need to put the time in and just drive. I would suggest with any manufacturer, driving the box stock settings. It is a great baseline to get you started. Once you start deviating from that and you don't understand what the changes actually do to the car that you're making, you're gonna make this experience harder for you. So box stock is probably the best way to go for newcomers. I've seen most people progress on box stock. I've seen people with stock electronics settings evolve, because that's just where they work from. They don't worry about trying to make too many changes too fast. If you want to evolve, that's the greatest way to push that. And lastly, but not lastly, I'll just leave it there. Use the zones and markers. If you got zones and markers, this goes back to the guys that are talking about other fast drivers. You're right. If all you care about is speed and you're missing a touch and go, or if you're missing a zone, or you're missing angle marks, what's the purpose of driving? In that sense, I agree with the guys kind of having a gripe. That's not drifting. Zones and areas are specified to test your skill and put the cars in a specific area or a specific space and angle and speed at a specific time. So if you're just running wild and driving fast, but you're not hitting any zones, it's pointless. So it's not really drifting at that point. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Alrighty guys, what's going on? Nope, don't like it. Alrighty guys, we're here at, no. Hello everyone, I'm Trey. Thank you for coming to my channel, and this is Slide Squad. Nope. This is a test. Make sure I got no boogers. Turn my light on.